everybody knows the saying, one apple a day keeps the doctors away. I know it may keep you healthy, it may keep you in a healthy kind of mindset, but how about the health of your doctors trying to stay awake, trying to go through a really long shift? Learning from professionals and from direct experience, sleep deprivation is a very harmful thing, and in the case for doctors, it can be even harmful for others. Therefore, we must minimize the sleep loss for doctors because they will have the physical and mental capacity to be able to support their patients. And first, I'll be talking about the basics of sleep deprivation. In general, sleep deprivation damages the brain and the body, both in the short and the long term. And I like to break it into two parts. There's complete sleep deprivation and partial sleep deprivation. Complete is a 24-hour period with no sleep, also known as the all-nighter, and the partial sleep deprivation is going through a few days while having not enough sleep. First, we'll talk about what happens with the body. So in the 2010 Harvard Health publication, the body coordination starts to go down once you pass 16 hours. And just easy tasks just become extremely hard. So in 2000, professors from Australia and New Zealand named A.M. Williamson and Anne-Marie Friars both said that at the 17 to 19 hour mark is equivalent to 0.05% blood alcohol content. And at 24 hours, it's even up to 0.10% blood alcohol content. And that's extremely dangerous. Once you've reached the 24-hour stage, you start to go into micro sleep patterns when you start falling asleep for about maybe a few minutes at a time, wake up and go back to sleep for a few minutes. And that's extremely dangerous, and especially when you put this into driving circumstances, it's extremely dangerous. And so it's sleeping behind the wheel is one of the biggest leading causes of accidents. Now, according with the brain function actually goes down at the 24-hour mark, and you start having automatic behavior, impulse behavior. Mood swings are more apparent, and even depression can happen. So let's move on to partial sleep depression or sleep deprivation. It's not as harsh at first, it doesn't seem as harsh as first, but it really is worse, and especially if you after a few days. Your work performance goes down, and it's difficult to just do complicated tasks. And the worst part is the resistance. You don't feel like these 4 hours, 5 hours of sleep will lead on to something. So you keep doing it for a very long time. And sometimes, for some people, it can last for months and even years. And that's extremely, really bad because it leads to illnesses and diseases. For example, type 2 diabetes is a possible reaction to sleep deprivation, partial sleep deprivation, because you start to get a resistance to insulin. And what's even worse is that in 2007, there was a Harvard Medical article that stated that your blood pressure will go up, and that increases heart disease. Now, sleep deprivation, and if you add sleep deprivation with physicians, that's extremely bad because the work performance is down and the brain and body goes down. And what's really important for physicians is the body precision that they have, as well as the on-the-spot thinking. Imagine if your doctor were to prescribe you 2,000 milligrams instead of 200, right? It's a factor of 10. But these calculation errors happen all the time and could end in really bad consequences. And especially with the stressful work experience, there's a lot of things that happen in the workforce. Now, Dr. Brian Goldman, he's an ER physician at Mount Sinai Hospital in Canada, and he's also a radio talk show host of the show White Coat, Black Art. So when I spoke to him, he tells me that he has about 3 to 5 patients per hour, which is an okay amount for him, but for a lot of people it may go up to 10. It's extremely bad, and especially when you're trying to diagnose extremely important diseases, doctors don't have enough time. So they run into a lot of mistakes, and that really stresses them. They do share good news sometimes. There's a time when a 19-year-old came in to the ER who was intoxicated with bruises all over his body, and they found a blood clot in his skull that they were able to remove. That's some of the good news that they share. But sometimes it's even more stressful than that, though. Imagine doctors trying to tell families about a diagnosis of a loved one or a death of a loved one. These stressful things build up. I do encourage you to watch this TED Talk. Yeah, it's a TED Talk about mistakes and just the culture of medicine and how doctors' mistakes can really hurt them in general. And there's so many instances where physicians actually commit suicide because of this. Data proves that sleep deprivation really affects the ability of the doctors. In one journal of American Medical Association in 2009, from Harvard medical doctors, stated that 2.8% of complications from surgeries happen when surgeons have less than 6 hours of sleep. 2.8% doesn't seem like a lot, but when you add up all the tons of patients that come into their office every single day, it's extremely horrific. And also another from the same journal, a few doctors from Vancouver, British Columbia, so were surveying residencies, and they noticed that, especially because the workplace can be a little bit dangerous, 64% of injuries come from lack of concentration, and 31% come from fatigue. If you add that up, 95% are caused by lack of sleep. So there's a couple things that we can do. Petitions is one of them, but petitions are not easy, and they've been tried before. In 2001, there's a public citizen petition to request a limit on hour shifts. Currently, right now, it's 24 hours is the max, and you're not allowed to work for 2 to 3 days at a time, and a maximum of 80 hours weekly. However, this was rejected by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration because they said they're not responsible for these things, and they start to refer to the Accreditation Council for Graduate Medication Education. And that's extremely bad. You should be spreading blame to different other people. And the only problem about this is that they're just talking about residents. How about the attending physicians that have to be there every single day? You can raise awareness, though, and awareness is extremely important, but we should change the way that we think about awareness. It should be more about how can I, it's been more of, oh, so I'm not going to become a doctor because of these work habits. It should be more of how can I fix them. And so that's one of the big things that I'm bringing up today. Sleep deprivation is a huge issue, and especially for physicians, work conditions are extremely long, but you lose quality. So sometimes we really need to maintain their health and help them have a good recovery. And it's not just doctors. We as people, as patients, really need to support the health of our physicians. So now it's time for us to care about them as they care about us. So why not just give the apple back to them? Thank you so much.